There was a pulse. Barely. Michael Jackson's fingers pressed against Whitney Houston's neck, searching for proof that he wasn't too late. And there it was. Weak. Irregular. Like a drumbeat that couldn't decide if it wanted to keep playing or just stop. February 14th, 1999. Beverly Hills Hotel bathroom. White marble floor. Empty pill bottle. Blue lips. Gray skin. The two greatest voices in music history. One unconscious. One counting compressions. 1, 2, 3, push, breathe. 1, 2, 3, push, breathe. Michael's hands shook. Not from fear, from recognition. Because he'd been here. Different bathroom, different hotel, different year, but same pills, same floor, same choice between living and giving up. And the only reason Michael was alive to save Whitney was because his own security chief had kicked down his door in Munich in 1997. 2 years ago. 2 years that felt like 2 lifetimes. Now, it was his turn. His turn to be the one who kicks down the door. His turn to be the one who refuses to let someone else disappear into the same darkness that almost took him. But here's what Michael didn't know. He was buying Whitney 13 more years. 13 years of music. 13 years of life. 13 years of second chances. But in 13 years, she'd be back in a bathroom. With pills. With water. And he'd be gone. Dead 3 years earlier in his own bed from his own pills. And this time, nobody would kick the door open. But what neither of them knew that night was that this bathroom floor would become sacred ground. The place where two prisoners of fame finally understood that saving each other was the only way either of them would survive. Even if survival was only temporary. Even if the darkness was patient. Even if 13 years was all the universe was willing to give. 6 hours earlier, February 14th, 1999, 3 p.m., Michael Jackson sat in room 409 of the Beverly Hills Hotel, staring at a bottle of prescription pills that his doctor had given him for the lupus pain that never stopped. The disease was destroying his joints. Every movement felt like broken glass grinding in his bones. The pills helped, but they also whispered, "Take more. You need more. The pain will come back if you don't take more." Michael had been fighting this whisper for 5 years. Since 1994, since the allegations, since the world decided he was guilty without trial, since pain became his only companion and pills became his only relief. He'd almost lost the fight in Munich 2 years ago, collapsed on stage, nearly died in his dressing room. His security chief, Bill Bray, had found him unconscious, pills scattered around him like evidence of a crime he'd committed against himself. Bill had saved him that night. Ambulance, hospital, stomach pump, the whole nightmare. And afterward, Michael had promised, "No more. I'll be careful. I'll only take what's prescribed. I won't let it control me." But here he was, room 409, staring at pills, hearing the whisper, knowing that careful was just another word for slowly instead of quickly, knowing that controlled was just another word for not yet but soon. His phone rang. The hotel line. Michael almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Maybe instinct. Maybe fate. Maybe just the universe deciding that tonight, someone needed to be in the right place at the right time. Mr. Jackson, this is hotel security. We have a situation in room 412. A guest is unresponsive. We're calling 911, but we thought you should know since you're on the same floor. Who's in 412? The voice hesitated. Miss Whitney Houston, sir. Michael's blood went cold. Whitney was 3 doors down? How had he not known? Why hadn't anyone told him? They'd been friends for 15 years. Since 1984. Since they'd met at the American Music Awards and discovered they were both carrying the same weight. Fame, perfection, pressure, the endless expectation that they'd be superhuman every single second of their lives. But they hadn't spoken in 6 months. Not since Whitney's marriage to Bobby Brown had become public and ugly. Not since the tabloids started running photos of her looking thin and haunted. Not since rumors about cocaine and pills started replacing stories about her voice. Michael had wanted to call, had picked up the phone 100 times. But what do you say to someone who's drowning when you're drowning too? What wisdom can you offer when you're barely surviving yourself? "I'm coming now," Michael said, dropping the phone and running. Bill Bray caught him in the hallway. "Michael, wait. The paramedics are on their way. You don't need to." Michael didn't stop. He'd spent too much of his life waiting for permission, waiting for someone else to handle it, waiting while people he loved destroyed themselves because he was too afraid or too polite or too broken to intervene. Not tonight. Not Whitney. Room 412E's door was ajar. A security guard stood frozen in the doorway, his face the color of paper. Michael pushed past him and stopped. The bathroom door was open, and on the white marble floor, wearing a hotel robe, her famous hair spread around her like a dark halo, lay Whitney Houston, motionless, lips turning blue, skin going gray, an empty pill bottle on its side near her hand. Michael had seen death before. His mother's face when she thought no one was watching. His father's eyes when the beating stopped being about discipline and started being about rage. The deer at Neverland that had been hit by a car and died in his arms while he cried. But this was different, because this was Whitney. This was the voice that had sung, "I will always love you" so perfectly that even Dolly Parton said she owned it now. This was the woman who could hold a note for so long that time seemed to stop. This was his friend, and she was dying. Michael dropped to his knees beside her, pressed 2 fingers to her neck, the way Bill had taught him during mandatory CPR training at Neverland. The training Michael had resented sitting through. The training he'd thought he'd never need. There. Faint. So faint, it might have been hope instead of reality. A pulse. Irregular. Weak. But there. "She's breathing, but barely," someone said behind him. The security guard, finding his voice again. "How long has she been like this?" "I don't know. I just came in to deliver room service. Found her like this maybe 2 minutes ago." 2 minutes. Maybe more. Maybe less. How much time did they have? Michael tried to remember the CPR instructor's words. Brain damage starts after 4 minutes without oxygen. Death after 6. Or was it the other way around? Why couldn't he remember? Michael tilted Whitney's head back, checked her airway, clear, placed his hands on her chest, fingers interlocked, the way he'd been taught, and started compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rhythm came back. Muscle memory. The instructor's voice in his head counting. 30 compressions. 2 breaths. 30 compressions. 2 breaths. Don't stop. Don't think. Just count. But Michael was thinking. He was thinking about Munich. About his own bathroom floor. About Bill Bray's face when he'd found Michael unconscious. About the ambulance ride. About waking up in the hospital with tubes in his arms and shame in his soul. He was thinking about how easy it would have been to die that night. How close he'd come. How the only reason he was alive to save Whitney was because someone had saved him first. 30 compressions. His arms burned. His hands ached. Whitney's chest rose and fell with each compression, but her eyes stayed closed. Her lips stayed blue. 2 breaths. Michael pinched her nose, covered her mouth with his, breathed. Once. Twice. Tasted nothing but air and fear. 30 more compressions. Where were the paramedics? How long had he been doing this? 30 seconds? 2 minutes? 5? Time felt broken, stretched and compressed like the rhythm of his hands on her chest. "Come on, Whitney. Come on. You don't get to leave. Not like this. Not when I just found out you were 3 doors away. Not when we haven't talked in 6 months. Not when I haven't told you that I understand, that I'm fighting the same fight, that you're not alone even though you feel alone. Come on." 2 more breaths. Still nothing. Michael's vision blurred. Tears or sweat or both. His arms screamed. His hands cramped. But he didn't stop. 30 compressions. 29. 28. He was counting backward now. Why was he counting backward? Focus. 1, 2, 3. Whitney's ribs felt fragile under his palms, like bird bones, like she'd been disappearing for months and nobody had noticed, or everybody had noticed, but nobody had stopped her. And then, a cough. A violent, choking, beautiful cough. Whitney's body convulsed. Her eyes flew open, unfocused, terrified, confused. She tried to sit up. Michael held her steady. "Whitney, Whitney, it's Michael. You're okay. Just breathe." The paramedics are coming. Just breathe." But she wasn't breathing normally. She was gasping, panicking, fighting him. Her hands pushed at his chest. Her eyes couldn't focus. She was somewhere between alive and not alive. Conscious, but not present. Michael heard sirens. Finally, the ambulance. Footsteps thundered down the hallway. Voices shouting. Medical equipment rattling. Professional hands moved him aside. "Sir, we've got her. Please step back." Michael stumbled backward. His shirt was soaked with sweat. His hands were shaking so badly he had to clasp them together. Bill Bray appeared beside him, guiding him out of the bathroom, into the main room, away from the chaos. "You saved her life," Bill said quietly. Michael couldn't speak. He watched through the bathroom door as paramedics worked on Whitney. Oxygen mask, 4-line, checking vitals, loading her onto a stretcher, moving with practiced efficiency that came from doing this too many times. One of the paramedics stopped beside Michael. "You did good, man. Your CPR kept her alive until we got here. Another 2 minutes and we'd have lost her. 2 minutes. The difference between life and death. The difference between Michael being 3 doors away and Michael being anywhere else in the world." They wheeled Whitney past him. Her eyes were closed again. The oxygen mask covered half her face, but her chest was rising and falling. Regular, steady, alive. Michael followed the stretcher down the hallway, into the elevator, through the lobby, where guests stared and whispered and pointed, into the ambulance. The paramedics didn't stop him. Maybe they saw something in his face. Maybe they understood that he needed to be there, that he couldn't leave her. Not now. The ambulance ride took 12 minutes. Michael sat on the bench beside Whitney's stretcher, holding her hand. Her fingers were cold, limp, but her pulse was there, strong now, steady. The oxygen was working. The color was returning to her face. A paramedic asked him questions. "Do you know what she took? How many? When?" Michael didn't know. He'd arrived too late to see, too late to stop it, but not too late to save her. At Cedars-Sinai Hospital, they took Whitney directly to the ER. Michael waited in a private room that hospital staff arranged because Michael Jackson couldn't sit in a normal waiting room without causing a scene. Bill Bray sat with him. Neither of them spoke. What was there to say? 2 hours later, doctor appeared. Tall, tired, kind eyes. "Mr. Jackson, she's stable. We pumped her stomach. Gave her activated charcoal. She's breathing on her own now. She's going to be okay. Thanks to you. Can I see her? She's sleeping, but yes, follow me." Whitney looked small in the hospital bed, surrounded by machines, 4 tubes, monitors beeping softly. Her hair was pulled back, no makeup, no armor, just Whitney, 35 years old, the greatest voice of her generation, almost dead at 35. Michael sat in the chair beside her bed, took her hand again, and waited. She woke up at 4 in the morning. Her eyes opened slowly, focused on the ceiling, then on the machines, then on Michael. Her voice was barely a whisper, damaged from the stomach pump. "Michael, I'm here. What happened? You overdosed. I found you. Did CPR until the ambulance came." Whitney's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't want to die, I know. I just wanted the pain to stop." "I know," Michael said again, because he did know. He knew exactly what that felt like. The moment when pills stop being about pain relief and start being about just please make everything stop. They were quiet for a long time. The machines beeped. The hospital hummed. Somewhere down the hall, someone cried. Someone else laughed. Life continued. Death had been cheated. For now. Whitney's grip on his hand tightened. "How did you know to come?" "I didn't. I was 3 doors away. The hotel called. I ran. 3 doors away," Whitney repeated, her voice breaking. "You were 3 doors away, and I didn't know. I didn't know you were there either. If I had known." Whitney cut him off. "Do you ever feel like you're disappearing? Like the person everyone thinks you are is eating the person you actually are? Like you're dying slowly and everyone's watching, but nobody's helping?" Michael felt something crack open in his chest. "Yes, every single day. The pills help. For a little while. They make the noise stop. They make the pressure ease. They make me feel like I can breathe. But then I need more, and I can't remember anymore if I'm taking them for pain, or if I'm taking them to feel anything at all. Michael understood. God, he understood. Because that was his story too. His secret shame. His slow suicide. Whitney, he said carefully. 2 years ago, I was where you were tonight. Different hotel. Munich. Pills. My security chief found me unconscious. Ambulance. Hospital. The whole nightmare. I almost died. Whitney stared at him. You never told anyone. No one knows except Bill and my doctors. I was too ashamed. Too afraid people would think I was weak, or addicted, or broken. But Whitney, I am those things. I am weak sometimes. I am addicted to pain medication. I am broken by what fame has done to me, and pretending I'm not is what almost killed me. What made you stop? Michael hesitated. I haven't stopped. Not completely. I'm still taking pills. Still fighting the whisper that says take more. Still trying to figure out how to live with pain without killing myself to escape it. But Munich scared me enough that I'm trying. I'm trying to be careful. Trying to only take what's prescribed. Trying to remember that surviving is better than disappearing. Is it? Whitney asked quietly. Is surviving better? Michael looked at her, really looked at her, at the greatest voice he'd ever heard, at his friend who was drowning in the same water that was drowning him, at a woman who had everything the world said should make you happy, and nothing that actually did. Yes, he said firmly, because 13 years from now, somebody going to need the wisdom we learned from surviving, somebody going to be where we are tonight. And if we're still here, we can save them. But if we're gone, they'll die alone. What if nobody can be saved? What if we're all just drowning and pretending we're swimming? Then we drown together, Michael said. But we don't drown tonight. Whitney cried then, really cried. Michael held her hand and let her. Because sometimes the only thing you can do for someone is witness their pain. Not fix it, not minimize it, just see it, just stay. When her tears stopped, Whitney asked, what do we do now? We fight, Michael said, one day at a time. We take our pills the way they're prescribed. We call each other when the whisper gets loud. We remember that we're not alone even when we feel alone. And we survive. Even if survival is messy and imperfect and harder than disappearing. We survive. Whitney nodded, squeezed his hand. Promise me something. Anything. Promise that if I call you at 3 a.m. and say I need help, you'll answer. I promise. And you promise me the same. I promise. They were both lying. Not about wanting to keep the promise, but about whether they could. Because addiction doesn't care about promises. Fame doesn't care about friendship. Pain doesn't care about good intentions. But that night, in that hospital room, 2 prisoners of fame made a pact. And for 13 years, that pact held. Barely. Imperfectly. But it held. Michael and Whitney became each other's lifeline. Secret phone calls at 3 a.m. Whitney, the whisper is loud tonight. I need you to talk to me until it stops. Or Michael, I'm at a party, and there are pills everywhere, and I'm about to take them. Tell me not to. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes they talked each other down. Sometimes they survived another day because they weren't surviving alone. But sometimes it didn't work. Sometimes the calls went to voicemail. Sometimes the whisper won. Sometimes they failed each other because they couldn't save themselves. In 2005, Michael was arrested, put on trial, destroyed by media and allegations. The stress broke him. The peals increased. Whitney called. Michael, where are you? I need to hear your voice. Tell me you're okay. But Michael wasn't okay, and he stopped answering. Whitney felt abandoned. The one person who understood her pain had disappeared into his own. She tried to fight alone, but fighting alone was what she'd been doing her whole life. And she was tired. In 2009, Michael Jackson died. June 25th. His bedroom in Los Angeles. Propofol, the drug that promises sleep but delivers death. Michael had been looking for peace. He found oblivion instead. Whitney learned about his death from the news. Like everyone else. Like she wasn't his friend. Like they hadn't saved each other 100 times. She didn't cry. She was numb. The last thread connecting her to survival had snapped. 3 years later, February 11th, 2012. Beverly Hilton Hotel. Whitney Houston's bathroom. Pills. Alcohol. Bathtub. Water. The same combination that had almost killed her 13 years earlier at Beverly Hills Hotel. But this time, Michael wasn't 3 doors away. This time, nobody was coming. She drowned in 6 inches of water, with pills in her system, in a bathroom, alone, exactly the way they'd both been afraid they'd die. After Whitney's death, investigators found a journal in her hotel room. The final entry was dated February 10th, one day before she died. It read, "Michael saved my life in 1999. He found me on a bathroom floor and refused to let me die. He made me promise to fight. And I did. For 13 years, I fought. But Michael, you're gone. You died in 2009, and I don't know how to fight without you. The whisper is so loud now, it's drowning out everything else. And I'm so tired. I'm so tired of pretending I'm swimming when I'm drowning. I wish you were 3 doors away again. I wish you could save me again. But you can't. And I don't think I can save myself." The journal is kept private by her estate, but those who've read it say it's the saddest thing they've ever seen. 2 people who loved each other, who understood each other, who saved each other again and again, until they couldn't anymore. Because here's the truth about addiction. It's patient. T waits. It loses battles, but it always wins the war. Unless you have an army, unless you have people who refuse to let you disappear, unless you have someone 3 doors away who hears the scream and runs. Michael gave Whitney 13 years. 13 years of music. 13 years of life. 13 years of second chances. I Will Always Love You. The Bodyguard soundtrack. Millions of people touched by her voice. All because Michael Jackson happened to be 3 doors away on February 14th, 1999. But 13 years later, when Whitney needed him again, Will was gone. And nobody else was 3 doors away. Nobody else heard the scream. Nobody else kicked down the door. 2 people who saved each other, both dead from the same darkness. Both gone too soon. Both remembered for their voices. But maybe they should be remembered for this too. For the night one of them refused to let the other disappear. For the 13 years that gift bought. For the promise that held as long as they were both alive. Some people say addiction is a disease. Some say it's a choice. Michael and Whitney would tell you it's a prison. And sometimes the only way out is if someone breaks down your door and pulls you to freedom. But even then, even after rescue, you still have to choose every single day not to go back. Michael chose survival for 12 years after Munich. Whitney chose survival for 13 years after Beverly Hills. But eventually, the prison won. Because prisons are patient, and fame makes the bars stronger, and pills whisper promises that sound like peace. If you're reading this and you're fighting the same fight, remember something. Michael and Whitney would want you to know that those 13 years mattered. That survival, even imperfect survival, is victory. That calling someone at 3 a.m. is brave, not weak. That asking for help is strength, not surrender. And if you're 3 doors away from someone who's drowning, listen for the scream. Run when you hear it. Kick down the door. Do CPR. Save them. Because those 13 years you might buy them, they matter. Every single day matters. Michael saved Whitney that night because Bill saved Michael 2 years earlier. That's how it works. Drowning people. Saving drowning people. Imperfect rescue. Temporary salvation. But salvation nonetheless. This is the story of February 14th, 1999, the night Michael Jackson saved Whitney Houston's life, and the promise that held them both alive until it couldn't anymore. Some people get 13 years, some people get 12, some people get 1, and some people don't get any, because nobody's 3 doors away when they need them. But that night, Michael was there, and because he was there, Whitney got 13 more years. 13 years to sing, 13 years to love, 13 years to fight, 13 years to matter. And maybe that's all any of us can do. Save each other when we can, fight for each other when we must, and remember that the difference between life and death is sometimes just 2 minutes and 3 doors.